Alright, hi guys. So this is going to be a speed build of my new fortress river chambers. So as you can see, if you look at the mini map in the top right hand corner, there's a river that goes through the south up to the northeast of the map. And then there's actually a small stream that's coming from it would be from the northwest, and it has a little waterfall in that conjunction area right there in the middle. So what I'm doing is I'm going to be building my fortress right around that conjunction area. So you can see what I'm working on right now is the main gate. This definitely took me a little bit longer to do. What I like to do is I like to build all of my fortresses on multiple Z levels. I know that the dwarves they don't really have any benefit of it. It's just purely aesthetic from my part. I was, for a long time in the old version of Dwarf Fortress, before it came out on Steam, I was using the Armok vision, where you could see everything in 3D. And so I would build everything with that in mind. And so I just haven't gotten out of those habits yet. And I probably won't, because I do really enjoy it. So what I'm doing here, I think that this entry area is going to be maybe like 6 or 7 Z levels tall. I'm putting little columns all the way down, and I like to build a lot of my stuff on 5x5 sections, right? So the reason I like the 5x5s is because most of the workshops are 3x3s, which fit inside of a 5x5, and then also I feel like the optimum bedroom size is also fits inside of a 3x3, which is inside of a 5x5. So I like to do that. It kind of keeps everything looking a little bit uniform. It keeps it all looking a little bit nicer. So I just totally scrapped my idea on the entryway, and it looks like I'm redoing it again. Let's see here. So the idea is that this entryway is going to come from the ground level, and it's going to come up a couple levels, and then right where this river comes across here like this, that's where we're going to actually have our first choke point. That's where our first bridge is going to be. And that's going to allow us to raise the bridge whenever there's enemies and not let them across. We're going to be making our bridge a 5x5 so that the trader's cart can also get through as well. So on the other end of the river, this little section here that you see me measuring out on the other side, this is going to be a big carve out, and it's basically going to be my I would call it my castle walls. So the outside of that section is going to be fortifications, and it's going to be set up where the dwarves can actually all line up on the walls and shoot their crossbows. It's going to be completely interior, so the dwarves won't have that bug where they jump over the fortifications to go and engage in melee combat with the goblins or whoever it is that they're fighting. They'll be completely contained within these fortifications here. So it doesn't even look like I've built those yet. I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. But what I'm doing is I'm lining up the main gate with this waterfall, because that little corner right there, that is the waterfall. You see how I'm looking at the stream on the top? So what I like to do is I like to force choke point paths that go right by the waterfall, because it gives the dwarves a happy thought whenever they do that. I feel like the management of their moods is much, much easier when they're doing that. I've only had one other waterfall fort before, so this will be my second one that I've ever done. So you can see right here, this is where I'm carving, or I'm laying out the blueprints to carve a corridor. So this is where the dwarves will be able to stand, and they will be able to shoot their crossbows at the enemy. So the idea would be, I would leave the gates open, the enemy would come across the bridge, and then we would pull the levers, and the bridge over the river would close, and then also the bridge in the main on that main gate there would close as well. So then the enemy would be trapped on that little platform right there with nowhere to go, and then the dwarves will be shooting their crossbows. Um, I also think there's a possibility I might want to create a minecart shotgun, a couple of them, and I'll have that minecart shotgun also able to shoot at the dwarf or at the enemies that are trapped in that section as well. The only thing that I have against that is that if the shot, if it overshoots, the debris from that shotgun is going to wind up in the river, and just my OCD is just going to go crazy because I'm going to absolutely hate that. So I have to kind of think about that. Maybe what I do is maybe I figure out how to put the minecart shotgun into that grand entry area before they cross over the river. So what I've done here now is I had that big tunnel that went past the waterfall, and it pathed right up to this section here. Now what this is going to be my tavern, where visitors from outside the fort and also where the fortress residents will be able to reside. So it's going in again right by the waterfall, so that all the dwarves, they have to eat and they have to drink. So if I put my food stores there, it means that at least once a month, I think it's once a month, they will have to go and be by the waterfall at least a little bit. You can notice that I make all of my hallways 3 Z levels tall. Don't ask me why, I just like it. But at the very end, I do not make that 3 levels tall. And the reason is I only open it up with a single Z level tall area for a door to be put in. That allows me to be able to lock the door. And I don't have to worry about anybody climbing over any of the walls or doing any of that. So it looks like I am good enough on my tavern. I know I'm going to come back to it because I don't necessarily 100% like it. So what I'm working on now is my stairs. Okay, so these stairs here, these are going underground, and then they're also going above ground. So what I did is I went ahead, I put a 5x5 stair area in the middle, and I brought it all the way to the top and all the way to the bottom. Now, the reason I use stairs is it's more or less like a scaffolding. Okay, I'm not actually going to use them as stairs. I'm going to be installing ramps whenever the Z levels change of the 3x3 sections. That's more or less a personal preference as well. It also allows the trading carts, the trading caravans, to be able to access whatever level I decide to put my trading depot on. I do technically, or not technically, but I do like to put the trading depot somewhere a little bit further inside the fortress, just because I like watching the big lines of the mine carts, or not mine carts, but the caravan carts going through, especially when my fortress is really kicking off and there's a large number of those carts. It just looks really cool. It makes it look like my fortress is really doing some major economy activities. So what I'm doing now, it looks like I'm building my first residential layout. I kind of wanted to go for a little bit more of a natural approach on this one. For most of the time, everything that I do is extremely symmetrical. So I kind of thought, with everything being built around these rivers, I kind of thought that it would be cool for the dwarves to have some river view, canyon views on their setup. Now, it's just for role-playing purposes. Of course, they can't really benefit from this, but I just think it kind of looks cool. I'm also creating, it looks like they're either 3x5s or 3x6 rooms, and the reason for that is simply I just like to make them a little bit bigger. I also am not a huge fan of smoothing or of building the walls. I used to do it all the time, and on my most recent fortress, I realized how much it slows down my building progress when I do that kind of stuff. What I might do is I might completely build out this fortress and then go back and refurbish my rooms, not just the bedrooms, but everything, just one piece at a time. But I know for now, just to get the main layout and all that kind of stuff done, that's what I'm going to do. So I've built a hallway going down to the base of the river. Now this room that you just saw me build, that's going to be my hydropower plant. And so that's just going to have a couple water wheels that are going to be connecting through the river, and that is going to give me power. The power is going to be used for minecart rollers for the minecart shotgun, and it will also be used to grind up cave wheat and other kinds of plants for the economy. So now I've moved on to, this is going to be my general workshop area here. What I like to do is I did a layout very, very similar to this on my last save. Unfortunately, my last save did get corrupted, which is why I've started this one. But I really, really did enjoy the layout of it. So I'm going to have the workshops. They're going to be posted all around the sides of this layout, but then on the very bottom floor, on the inside, what I'm making right now, those are smelters. Those are going to be what my smelters are. In the future, the smelters can be removed. I can channel into one of the spaces and pour some magma in there, and they can become magma smelters. But until that time, they'll either be ran by coal or they will be ran by charcoal. So then up above, I have the workshop areas are going to be about 4 levels tall. And then up above that, these are the management and storage rooms. So we'll have that set up. That's going to be for like the mayor, for the bookkeeper, for the all those different types of people. They'll have their offices in this section here on the upper levels. I also added storage areas. That's, I think, where I'm going to be putting most of my furniture items. And then on the lower levels below it, I don't know if you saw it, it went pretty quick, but I added 3 lower levels, and that's going to be where I store all of my stone. So I like to collect all of my stone. I like to clean up the fortress. I hate stone laying around. It just really, really bothers me. So yeah, that's what we're going to do. Looks like I'm back inside the tavern now, and I'm just adding some columns. I'm decorating it. I added a level of rooms up at the top that can be rented out. So what the plan is going to be is I'll start the fortress, and I will actually end up carving out those rooms, and I will let my dwarves live in those rooms at first while we're still building the rest of the fortress. So I will not allow people into the tavern. It will still be a private tavern. And yeah, we'll just utilize those rooms until the rest of the fortress, or at least enough of the fortress, is built where the dwarves can move out of those rooms. The rooms can become rented to the tavern, and they can move into the residential districts that I built. So it looks like I built a couple more hallways. They're going across the river in different areas. So the way I'm envisioning it is we're going to have some bridges all over the place. It's really gonna, I think it's really gonna look cool. There's just gonna be bridges on all kinds of different levels connecting these different sections of this canyon kind of area. Okay, so let's see what I'm building. It looks like I'm just, as of right now, oh, I'm starting some more residential. Okay, so I'm gonna do another level of residential. I think when I counted, there was about 40 rooms or 40 homes that I built per this residential level. So if I'm going to have a fortress of 200 dwarves, that means I'll have to have, you know, a couple different layers or levels of these types of rooms. I have my settings right now set to have 300 dwarves. We'll see how that goes. I know that on my last game before the Steam version, I had a 300 dwarf fortress, and FPS wise I was doing just fine, but it's because I also like to keep everything clean. I throw away tons of trash. I give away tons of trash. I utilized magma to get rid of a lot of trash. No dead bodies, no refuse, none of that stuff. So I do keep my fortresses pretty clean. Also, when it comes to pathing, I don't allow a lot of staircases all right next to each other. In fact, mainly what I do is I utilize ramps. Very few times I'll actually utilize a staircase for the dwarves to use. My staircases that I build, it's all just scaffolding for me to be able to build multiple Z-level items. So looks like I finished some of that residential area. Let's see what I'm doing next. Oh, okay. So now it looks like I'm starting to think about my hospital slash dungeon and how I want that to be lined out. I wasn't really sure at first, and then I decided I would build it into this corner. Now, your hospitals and your dungeons, you want to have a well on them. So what I used to do is they used to be in separate areas of the fortress, but now what I'm doing is the dungeon is actually going to be on the upper levels of this little section here, and the hospital will be on the lower levels. So look, I'm just building the well area right there. It's going to connect straight to the river. Of course, we'll use floodgates or something, and the well will go directly into the hospital slash dungeon area. It looks like I also just built a well going into the tavern as well, because I have a terrible habit of not getting enough alcohol for the dwarves. So we've got the dungeon level finished. We have the hospital finished. It looks like now I've built another hallway going across to this other side of the river, and I am building. Oh, these are guild halls. Yeah, I'm building a whole bunch of guild halls right here. You can never have enough guild halls. It seems like they always want one at the most inopportune times, and I just don't enjoy building guild halls for some reason. This next section here, this is my temple that I'm going to be building. I love building grand temples. Temples are by far like one of my most favorite things to build. I think a goal for this fortress will also be to build a grand library as well. I think that would be a lot of fun. So I'm building this one right into it's kind of like a natural curve that's going along with the edge of the river. I didn't go all the way out because I don't want flying things and all that kind of stuff to really get inside. But now that I think about it, kind of doesn't matter because I have 3 Z-level tall hallways connecting the areas anyways. So I might go back. I might actually change that. I might open up these walls. It might look kind of cool. So I'm doing kind of a new little design on this. I haven't done anything like this before, but I think it looks pretty cool. So it's kind of like these beams are like coming down and off the walls and off to the side. Okay, so with that done, looks like, okay, I'm back to this main entrance area. I decided that it needs a little bit more something to it. So I'm just widening it out and adding some columns to give it more of a grand kind of a feel. Okay, so now I'm checking the direction of the water and where the river is flowing. I decided to change my my hydropower station so that I don't know exactly how the water flow works, but I just figured that if the water's flowing from the south to the north, I built my section to kind of match up with that. So now I have a hallway that's coming down and we're going all the way to the base of this waterfall. And what I'm doing here is I'm actually building a fishing station, a fishing area. So this is all going to be hollowed out. There'll be some nice columns. It'll look pretty cool. And it will all be level. And then this inside area, maybe about three tiles away from the waterfall on all sides, north, south, east, and west, I'll cut it out, I'll channel it out, and we'll actually create a pool where the waterfall is falling directly into this open cavern kind of area with a little pool. And I will designate that as the area where my fishers will work. I'll set up some homes for the fishers right there and also some fisheries and some food processing kind of areas. Okay, now I'm connecting this hallway. I'm actually connecting it to the top of the dungeon, so the dungeon and the hospital can be accessed from 2 of my stairway areas. Now I'm just looking around, deciding what I want to build next. So what I'm doing on all this is I'm laying it out with the blueprint section so that I know where everything's going to be and how it's going to fit ahead of time. And then as I'm ready, as the fortress grows and it's ready to expand, all I have to do is I just have to activate the blueprints and it will turn into jobs for the dwarves to do. So what I'm doing here is now I'm creating a farming level. I always struggle with food because I don't really like the city management part of it as much. Obviously, I like the building part of it the best. So what I'm doing is I'm going ahead and I'm pre-creating what I'm going to do for the food areas. So this is all going to be farms. These big sections that are underneath that are level 2, the bottom of the river, these are going to be, of course, channeled out, and then they are going to be filled with water. The water will create a muddy ground, which will allow me to plant. So you can see I'm setting up the irrigation right here. Of course, I don't set it to mine that final tile next to the river. We will do that when we're ready, after we've hooked up some floodgates with some levers. Now on the top of the farm, I made the farm like 3 or 4 Z levels tall as always. And what I'm doing is I'm just adding a kind of like a cool, just like a little pattern coming from the roof of it. I just thought might look kind of cool. I didn't have it go all the way down to the bottom. I kind of wish that I could, but then it would be touching the farms. And I don't remember if I can build the farm with things in the way, if the farm will wrap around the things in the way or not. So I just erred on the side of safety, and I just only built that little cool looking thing down just a couple levels. Now I'm just connecting these rooms. Looks like I missed the doorways for some of those rooms. What are we doing next? Okay, I'm building a staircase going through those large columns up to the top of the rooms in the tavern. Okay, now I'm just adding some designs to the main gate area. I don't want my columns to go all the way down because I can't let them get in the way of my dwarves that are shooting at the enemy, but I did want to add a little bit of something so that it looks kind of cool. All right, that's the end of this fortress architectural video. Thank you very much.